All right, finally, we're going to talk about upper and lower bound tests. Now, this is just saying you could figure out which terms all the factors must be in between. Let me show you here. So you have this equation. It says first, let's graph this. And honestly, you don't need to know the algebra as much because if you graph it, you can figure out where all the zeros lie between. So it looks like to me, the farthest zero on the left is -2, and the farthest on the right is 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like they're -2 and 6. But what you could do is you could test by taking a number on the outside. So let's say we tested with -3 here, and over here the number on the outside would be 7. We want to say our lower bound is -3, our upper bound is 7. You just take the next value, the next whole number, or rather integer, after the 0 you see. And so if we test by using those as a lower bound, let's see what we come up with. I'm going to use synthetic division, so let me write down this equation. We have 1, -4, -11, -4, and -12. We think the lower bound is going to be -3. So I'm going to divide by that -3, and watch what happens with my answers. So you pull this down, we get 1. 1 times -3 is -3. Those add up to be -7. You multiply those, and you get 21. Add those, +10. Multiply -30. That gives us -34. And when you multiply that out, oh man, is that 102? I think that's 102, which would add and give us 90 for our remainder. Now, here's what I want you to see. This is a lower bound because you see how these alternate? It's a lower bound because they alternate. Alternating signs. Now, what you kind of think of, if you had a 0, zero is like a wild card. It can go either way. You can count 0 as being positive or negative. As long as they alternate, it's a lower bound. So I'm going to put that here in parentheses. 0 is like a wild card. And if you've played cards, you know what I mean by a wild card. It means it can be played however you want it to be played. Okay? So now we would do it again and just do this for an upper bound with 7. Let's see what happens. If we were to divide by 7, I have my same numbers here. I would divide here, and let's see what we come up with. We have 1 times 7, which is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. So again, I have 10. Multiply, I get 70, which is going to be 66. And 66, 420, 446, I believe. Should probably type that in the calculator. Either way, it's something very large. I could be off on that number. But I think I'm going to end up with 434 as my remainder. Notice this time they're all positive. So because they're all positive, upper bound. Okay, so an upper bound would occur anytime they're all positive. What that means is no zeros past 7, no zeros past -3 going to the negatives. That's what a lower bound and upper bound is. You can try this one if you like, but honestly, I think you could just determine from the calculator.